let's start with the Knicks. Currently 34-43. They have been pretty feisty since the All-Star break. 500 team, average offense, eighth in defense, and this is with some of their well-regarded players missing some time. I think it's fair to say. So, Steve, how much fun have you had with this Knicks team as of late? What's caught your eye with them?
Of late, it's been fun to watch these young guys grow. It's been fun to watch Tibbs actually enjoy coaching some of the younger players. I think what RJ Barrett has put together has been really strong. I think the consistency as far as scoring, attacking, and transition. And then I feel like Emmanuel quickly has really come on of late. And not just, making shots, helping
Mm-hmm.
them in that way, but the playmaking, I feel like, has been there. The decision making has been there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the energy of Jericho Sims, Obi Toppin doing things and having an impact. The young people have been fun for the Knicks.
Why did it take this long for the young people to get like I don't know. Like I'm glad you brought up Emmanuel quickly because he has been incredibly fun. Beyond the pull up, like he is making more consistent reads and pick and roll, which is huge. You would think that a team that is where they are in the standings with a guy like Emmanuel quickly and also on a roster that is currently starting Alec Burks at point guard, you would think at some point there would be some sort of shift to see, like, hey, let's see what this dude can do for real. And it hasn't happened yet, which I find a little bit odd. Just have some questions. That's all. But no, quickly's been fun. RJ Barrett averaging 26, 7, and 4 post All-Star break. The drives have been so consistent and so gnarly. Quick shout out to Fred Katz, who wrote a piece recently on RJ Barrett's growth. The way that he's basically flipped things on its head since the turn of the year in terms of his aggression. Where are you at with RJ as a passer?
Still a mixed bag. I think sometimes over penetration or pressure can alter things, but I think there's more of an attempt. That's for sure. And I think there's more of an understanding on how and when he can bend defenses in multiple ways. I think last year he made the leap against drop, but now I think he's making more of a leap in general. Some of the drives are stronger. Um, so I've been impressed with the playmaking. Where are you at?
I think it's getting better. Like I'm trying to gauge because I do agree there is some over penetration and stuff. I'm trying to gauge like how much of that is him just needing to learn the ropes and how much of that is defense is really keying in on him, especially in the games that Julius Randle has missed. He does kind of become the creator for them. So I wonder just how much of that is just defense saying, all right, we're just going to sell out. We don't care what's out there. But I have enjoyed that growth. Like, I think it's time to shift more of the offense towards him, even when Julius Randle is there full time. Like, I think he deserves to have the reins of the offense more than he has at points this season. I think the rim pressure, not just the passing ability, but the willingness to pass, I think is there, could lead to a little bit better flow. And you want to get him engaged a little bit earlier. Like I think for the Barrett Randall pairing to work like they wanted to, I would like to see Randall as more of a play finisher. Let him get some head starts. Let him attack some scrambling defenses so he can just catch the ball on the move, one dribble and power into a dude's chest, get to the free throw line, and get some shots at the basket versus having to bring the ball up, direct traffic, get to the left block. Now it's an ISO, and it's a lot of standing around. Like some of that's on Julius, but some of that's also just on design and also putting him in situations where he has to punch above his weight. So I do want to see that shift moving forward. And I'm glad that we've seen more RJ on ball because of that.
I think the big thing to let the Barrett Randall unit pop is just getting a point guard that doesn't necessarily need the ball. And I feel like sometimes that might be the hesitation with starting quickly. I'm not saying it's right or wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of want to give quickly that freedom and then blend him in. I think he should get more minutes for sure, especially now. But I think if you're going to get Barrett and Randall going, you need someone who is just going to do enough to get you organized, can make defenses pay, which I think is the difference between what Elfrid Payton brought them and what other people brought them.
Mhm.
I think that's a way you can kind of let Barrett have more of the playmaking and ball handling role without doing too much, if that makes sense.
I got you. That's it's funny. I actually had a couple of mailbag questions from Nick fans that sent them in, but you pretty much hit on at least one of them. It was a question from Anthony who asked what the offseason priority should be for the Knicks in terms of roster spots and what they need to fill. And I think
Clear the room for the young guys. That's what you need to do. If you have these guys and they're playing well and you want them to play, you need to give them the opportunity, which means you need to clear the space. The only thing is, I don't know what players you need to get. You're not going to be able to get the players that filled your first identity. You know what happened this year didn't really work. So now you have to either develop your talent and find ways to let them grow or find the pieces that you think are going to work. That's probably the toughest part for New York in this season. This disappointment is I don't think you know what your identity is right now.
mm-hmm.
And going into last year, you did. So that'll be the interesting part for me.
I guess what would you think? What do you think they should gear their identity towards? Do you think they need to get back to the hard hat defensive type identity, or do you think it should shift more offense? Obviously, you want to be good at both ends, but like in terms of who the Knicks should be, do you think their personnel lends itself more to being an offense first or defense first team?
I was on board with trying to get a blend. I think if you want to gear more towards your additions helping you defensively so you can have that as a stronger base, I would get that. And then you lean on some of the younger guys to fill the offensive gaps. But at the end of the day, it depends on, I think the focus should probably be what's the best lineup we can build around
Mm-hmm.
Barrett, Randall, and I guess we'd say Mitch. So what 1 and 2 can play with them, and then give that second unit to those young players. Let Grimes, quickly, Obi, let them rock. Throw a couple of vets in there, but build your roster to give those guys the opportunities would be my idea.
Okay. What do you think the likelihood is that Cam Reddish develops into the guy that fills one of those two spots?
I think that's the idea. I don't know. Well, the question is, the idea was he would get a bigger role, but I don't know where that would be because I think he can fit with the starting lineup in theory,
Mm-hmm.
but how much of that is going to be him with the ball in his hands? How comfortable is he going to be making plays off of other guys? If you can get Reddish, Barrett, and Randall to flow and work together, that makes sense. I'd probably like him more with the starters than the bench. Let quickly rock. Let Grimes rock. So I don't know. I wish I could have seen more of him with them to have a real
Mm-hmm.
idea. That's probably another disappointment. Like you made that move, which should help you, but I don't think you have any answers on what it means.
Yeah, that's again, it should have been more of a priority. I understand from a front office perspective, you don't want to do a deal just to do a deal, and you don't want to badly, quote unquote, lose a deal just to say that you have one in the clear space. But I do wish they could have found a way to do something to clear some room and make things make sense. Because as you said, now we're hitting the end of the regular season, and you really don't know what the path to Cam playing major minutes is right now and what that role is going to be, if it's going to be with the starters or if he's going to be off the bench. Because I just kind of look at where he is right now through 3 years now. We've seen him play really good defense. We've seen him have stretches to where he could be your secondary playmaker. He's the second closeout. He can make the next pass or he can get downhill. We've seen him have stretches where he shot well. And we've also seen the opposite of all three of those things. And so if you're looking at him as the potential option, let's say it's Barrett, Fournier, Reddish, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson. From a defensive perspective, like, are you treating Cam Reddish like a knockdown shooter right now? Probably not. And until he proves from like a volume perspective and stuff that he can be that guy that you have to account for, then that's once again shrinking the floor for RJ Barrett to get downhill, shrinking the floor for Julius Randle, and you're starting to run into some of those same issues, in addition to Cam wanting the ball himself. And with the second unit, I guess it just depends on who you're filling that out with. Like Derrick Rose is probably gonna be back next year too, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine if Tibbs is there for sure.
Yeah.
Also, breaking news. Didn't mean to interrupt your great points. The halftime entertainment in Utah is Simon Says.
Huh. Are they gonna get
Incredibly on brand?
Are they going to get Rudy to play so they can get him to seal? Is that the path?
So the Wizards.
All right, let's get it. Before we go with the Wizards, because you did touch on Tibbs, we did have another question from Mo who flat out asked, like, do you think Tibbs should be the coach next year?
That is an interesting question. I wonder if this stretch with the young folk maybe saved him. It looked like it was going to be a wrap for him.
The articles were coming out.
But I think this may have saved him. I think you can give him a shot, but if you're going to give him another shot, you have to build the roster to where those guys that you want to play are going to play. I think Tibbs has enjoyed coaching the young guys. I think sometimes unwillingly, but you could see he lets them rock. I mean, there are possessions where McBride's dribbling for about 15 seconds and it turns into a driving kick and Quentin Grimes hits a big three. That's got to be a weird experience for Tibbs. Just this whole season, if you think about it. I think, and this was my concern, he knew his team had to hit a certain level defensively for it to work. They couldn't hit that level. The offense went away. Now you have all sorts of issues. Kimba thing, all that good stuff. Now you got your young guys out there, and you go from the thickest playbook in the league in Chicago to trying to mismatch Hunt against Max Strus and watching that turn to a pull-up three. Evolution comes quick, folks. But I think I'd give him another shot, but you just got to rebuild the roster.
Again. I guess we'll see.
That's my beef with front offices, though. Like, if you want to go young, then make the rotation so that those guys have to play. Don't bring in the four guys that might play over the guy you want to play and then be surprised when those guys play over the guy you want to play. Anyways.
Gotta force him to have a look. The hashtag is Big Mac, folks. Okay.
It's 2 in 1 episode.